Hi, Happy New Year. Today, you are going to learn everything that I learned in 2021 and what I am taking with me into 2022. So, very excited. And so I know people make New Year's resolutions, but I think for me it was more so keeping up with like what I've already kind of established in my life. So, let's get into all these things that I learned and what I'm taking with me. And then I also have like a bonus lesson at the end. So number one, trust your instincts. Kind of have more so been getting this message now. Listen to yourself. I realized when I wouldn't trust myself or when I wouldn't listen to myself, it wouldn't build my confidence. Like I'd feel bad about myself. I'm not worthy of being listened to. And that just doesn't make you feel good about yourself. That doesn't put you in situations where you feel like you can make good decisions or you know what's best for you. Because if you don't trust yourself, if you don't listen to yourself, then that's essentially telling yourself, okay, I don't think that you make good decisions. It kind of reinforces that. I've always had an issue with being indecisive, not, regretting my decisions. And so I finally came to a place where I told myself, because I'd always have like affirmations like, oh, you make great decisions, but I'm like, I don't really believe that. So just making sure that even like gut instincts, like expecting what my gut instincts tell me. So trust your instincts and trust yourself. Number two, believe good things can happen to you. So I know, just like based on past trauma in my life, I kind of got to a place where I'm like, good things happen for everyone else, and good things just like, a couple good things can happen to me, but not like I don't expect them. And I think that is part of the reason why my outlook, like why things happen the way that they did in my life, because, I kind of, what you seek, you find. And, if you say good things don't happen to me, good things happen to other people, that's going to happen. You speak life. And it's not until I changed my attitude and decided to be obsessively grateful, which is kind of my theme for 2021. Wait, 2022. I'm pretty sure I've been saying 2021. 2022. My theme for 2022 is that's funny. Is be obsessively grateful. So like just grateful for everything, because gratitude, I think I talked about this in a video that I filmed. I might not have posted it, but gratitude has to be your daily attitude. You have to be grateful, and I feel like once you are truly grateful for where you are in your life, that's when you'll see abundance. So that's what I've been really working towards, and just like saying good things about myself, speaking good things about other people, like not really indulging in like the negativity. So, and it can be hard. It comes from a place of privilege to say believe good things can happen to you, but I do believe to a degree mindset plays a lot with how we can deal with our circumstances, because that's the only thing we can control. We can't control a lot of the things around us, but we can control our mindset. And I think the situation, my professional situation, really exposed me to this idea of like, I was trying so hard with my mindset, but it just wasn't enough. So I do understand that mindset isn't the end all be all, but it definitely plays a role. And we can go into number three. No situation is worth your mental health. That is probably the key lesson I'm taking out of 2021. It was just one of the worst experiences of my life. It was a really bad experience. My mental health was deteriorating, I think from the day that I started, honestly. Then it just got to a point where it was just like, I was getting sick, physically sick. I was like, I hated life. I hated everything about life because of that job. It put me in the worst mental state of my life. And then there was an instance that happened and I resigned. And I've never felt such relief in a second. I felt like the world was lifted off my shoulders the day that I resigned, the second that I resigned. I'm very grateful to be out of that situation. It's probably the best thing that's happened to me. What happened to me in 2021. And yeah, it wasn't worth it. So no situation is worth your mental health. And again, I know that comes from a place of privilege, but I think that's how I understood when I was saying the mindset thing, because I tried so hard to have a positive mindset and just tell myself, like, you know, this is work, leave it at work, blah, blah, blah. And it was just hard, and it got to a point where my mindset couldn't do anything for me. Just be mindful, like, if you can get out of a situation, if it's making you feel like you dread life, it's definitely something that you need to pay attention to. Number 4, sometimes you will be considered the villain. I have learned and accepted that if me choosing myself makes me the villain in someone else's story, then so be it. Like, that's the way it has to be. A lot of times when you are a people pleaser, you want to make everybody happy, you want everyone to like you, and there was a situation, I won't go into too many details, but there was a situation where I had to make a personal choice that offended quite a few people. And it was a hard personal choice to make, but it was a necessary personal choice, and I did. I made the choice that was best for me. In making that choice, I also was concerned about how other people felt about me, how other people felt about the choice that I made. With therapy and again with growth, I kind of just learned, you know, I'm the only person who genuinely knows my intentions. I'm the only person who's going to look out for me 100%, and I have to do what's best for me. People are allowed to have opinions or, you know, react. There's consequence to every decision. So even if I'm doing something that feels like it's best for me, other people are allowed to be like, oh, you know what? She's selfish. She's dramatic. You know, whatever. People are allowed. I think that was the issue with me. I was so like, well, I made this decision for me, and I want you to understand why I made it, because I don't want you to feel negatively about me. And like, that's out of my control. I think there's actually a book. There's a book on my Goodreads list. Because I've got to tell you. What other people think of me is none of my business, something like that. And that's really true. And so just working with my therapist through it, I kind of just like adopted this idea of like, okay, you know what? I'm going to be the villain in somebody else's story, and that's fine. If that means that I am enforcing my boundaries, I'm taking care of myself, I'm putting myself first, I'm doing what's best for me, then I will be the villain in someone else's story, if that's what it means. Number 5, stay on your vibration. I have had a lot of people, or just in general, like people you're around, people you love, you know, you could be working on just vibrating at a peaceful, chill vibration, and they can come in and impact that. And so what I've really been trying to do, and I still have a lot of work to do, is like staying on my vibration. So no matter what happens around me, no matter what's going on, no matter, you know, what's been said or done, because where I try to vibrate is gratitude and love. And it's hard. I'm not gonna pretend I'm just this woosah perfect person. I'm so far from it. But I'm always working to be more positive and more grateful. What I've noticed is, like, you know, if there's too many bad things happening in the world, then I'm like, whatever, like I have low vibrations, just like, you know, the energy that those events and news cycles or whatever, they all send off that negative energy. And that is, you know, what I find myself matching. So my new thing is like, I don't want to match people's vibrations. I want to stay on my own. Number 6, reconnecting with my inner child. So this has been something that I have really dedicated myself to doing since I turned 30. Was just really doing a lot of shadow work and uncovering things that I've kind of like hid in my memory. Just really focusing on healing that part of me that maybe feels ashamed. You know, sometimes I look back, I'm like, why would you do that? But just like really looking back and showing myself grace and like being understanding, just being the woman that I dreamed of being, but also extending kindness to the girl that I was, and not judging her, but just honoring her and showing her grace and love, and, you know, doing things that would make her, that I know would make my younger self happy. So like sometimes even in my place, like because I've essentially manifested this place. Just like, sometimes I'll sit and I'll be like, oh my gosh, like young me would be so happy about this. Like young me would be so proud. So really just like reconnecting and remembering those things and like going through old pictures and doing some of my old hobbies, so reconnecting with who I used to be and honoring that person, but also acknowledging the woman that I am and who I am still yet to become. Number 7, being mindful. This is something that I definitely still need to work on. My therapist and I talk about this a lot, but being present. So I've noticed a lot, I live in the past or in the future. It's very hard for me to just be in the moment. Because I'm always thinking like 10 steps ahead and like, okay, so I have to do this, 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 and this. Or I'm thinking like, oh my gosh, why did I do this? Why did I say this? So sometimes I'll do like the 5 things you can see, taste, touch. Like I'll do that grounding technique. Sometimes I have different like techniques that I'll do. A lot of times I just kind of focus and do my deep breaths. When the weather permitted, walking and like getting outside, having the sun shine on me, that's always good. But just taking those moments to actually be present and aware of what's going on around you, like how you're feeling and not necessarily what you have to do. So being mindful is something that I'm definitely working on. And then my last bonus thing that I've learned and I'm continuing to work on is being gentle with myself, but also, you know, treating myself. So I've always had a weird relationship with just self-care. I didn't do it. And it wasn't until I got married where my husband kind of pointed it out and was just like, you know, I mean, I was really bad at accepting gifts. Like I had issues with accepting it. I wouldn't really buy myself things or spend money on myself. I didn't really take time, which is why I never like wore my curls, because I'm like, I don't have time to learn how to do my curls. I don't have time to learn how to use these different products. So just like being really intentional with myself and how I care about myself, making time, prioritizing myself, just knowing that like, even if it's something like I'll pay for something for convenience now. A lot of times I'd just be like, okay, I'll just do it. Like I'll save the money. But now I'm just like, will this make my life easier? Will this save me time? Then yeah, I'll pay for the convenience. Obviously you don't want to get out of hand. So like it's still within reason, but making sure that, you know, you don't tell yourself like, oh, I don't like, that's too much for me, or I can't spend that much on myself. Like, because that sends a message back to yourself like, oh, okay, I'm not worth that. And that was the message I was sending to myself a lot. Like, okay, I'm not worth, you know, spending that much, or I'm not worth, you know, whatever, which I feel like played a part in why I couldn't accept gifts and, you know, nice things that people would do for me. Last story. I remember it was like a Friday night and I got off work and I went and picked up like dinner, and I went to the bookstore to pick up books. And I remember thinking like, oh my gosh, like young Nish would be so excited to see us here, because this is like a dream Friday night for her. And I felt so proud of myself, and I just felt so happy that it was something that I was able to do and something that like was a reality for me. It's kind of like you have these visions of yourself when you're a kid, and like living one of the visions when you realize in the moment you're living one of them. So that was pretty exciting. So yes, those are all, not even all, but those are like in general the lessons that I learned in 2021 and what I'm taking into 2022 with me. All of those things I have to continue working on, and I have other goals, but again, this was just like a really broad, like, you know, what I learned and what I'm working on. I am super excited to continue sharing my progress and sharing the things that I've learned, getting a little more personal on this channel. So thank you so much for watching. I hope your new year has gotten off to a great start and that you are crushing your goals, and do not feel pressured to have like these big, huge, crazy goals. You know, I feel like a lot of times people feel that pressure. Figure out what works for you, what's best for you, stick with that. That's the best way. You know, stay in your own lane. What was that called? There's no traffic in your lane, so stay in your lane and everything's gonna work out great for you. I'm sending you so much love and positivity for this new year. I know that the past 2 years have been rough, so I'm sending you so much love and positivity, and until next time, bye.